Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, species around the multiverse, welcome to episode 321 of Geek Syndicate. And we're doing what we always do. We are bringing the sass back to geekdom, because someone's got to do it. I am Monts, and with me, as always, is...
I am...
dying.
Nuge.
Wow.
I'm Nuge. I may or may not have COVID.
Glad we don't get that droplet infection through Zoom.
Not yet, buddy. Anyway, I'm working on it though.
Yeah. Okay.
The annoying thing is, I was hoping to do a big reveal because I thought I'd get my test results and I could have gone, yay! I'm free of COVID, bitches, or yay! I've got COVID, which isn't really a yay. It's more of a.
Ooh. I'm getting tested next week because me and the family are doing an advert. I won't say what the advert is at the moment. But in order to do it, we've all got to be COVID tested. So yeah, we got this thing from the school going. It's a flow chart of what to do, of when to send your kids in or not. And it says, "Is your kid got this, this, this?" And it goes, "Yes, no, don't send them in." But then on the other side of the paper, it says, has one of your children or anyone in your family got this? And it's exactly the same. You could have just said, has anyone in your family got this? Then don't send your kid in. It's like, I don't know. Everyone's waste of paper. Except it was an email. Anyway.
Anywho, we're back.
Yeah. And we got Pete with us today, hanging around.
Shooting the shit, as they say. Hopefully, we won't lose half of the episode like the last time Pete was on.
And I'd just like to say today's episode is brought to you by Rumbullion. Sorry.
I love that name, Rumbullion. It is actually rum and not a whiskey.
No, it is rum. It's a very nice rum, I have to say. I'm not really a rum guy, but this is. I even had to break out my Death Star ice sphere. I've got a Death Star mold for ice, and I was like, yeah, that's just...
I haven't drunk in over 40 days. I know.
Are you okay?
I know. Someone said it's like one of the signs of the apocalypse. I'm like, well, to be honest, there's been quite a few this year. So
yeah. I know, the latest being possibly right. Can I just say? So NASA announced, or if it was announced, that they've discovered phosphine on Venus. And last year, a major study concluded that phosphine is a sure sign of life somewhere. So that's before they found it.
Is that like a bad version of polystyrene then?
Let's go with that.
Okay.
So
I know me science, man.
I know you're on it, man. You're on it. Yeah.
Science me up, man.
But they say the phosphine is in enough concentrate that it couldn't just be hanging around. It has to be produced by something. So I'm like, okay. Then I've read further, and it says it was found. You're not going to find it on the planet's surface because it's too hot and too acidic. It will be in the upper cloud layers. Now, I grew up reading Dan Dare, yeah, and the Mekon, his enemy from Venus, all his people lived in the upper cloud layers. So it's all coming true, man. We've said it before. Science fiction is showing the way. They are there and they are coming. You better find Dan and Digby, get a spaceship ready, because it's coming, man.
But
it's coming.
Seriously, right?
It's been written.
This year has been so apocalyptic. So have you heard about this thing? I pulled it up. That in Egypt they've unearthed 13, not 12, not 14. 13. They've unearthed 13 coffins believed to contain the remains of human mummies that were buried more than 2,500 years ago.
Don't open it.
Right. The coffin is I'm reading it, intricately painted and previously unopened, were discovered in the burial well at the ancient site of, I can't pronounce it, but it's somewhere in Cairo. Now, with everything else that's going on, do you really think this is a time to be like digging up 13, 2,500 year old mummies and opening up the cases? Right? Look at the mummy. That was only one.
Yeah, mate. Listen, did you see the thing about the dead pigs?
What are you talking about, Mons?
Scientists reanimated 13 dead pig brains.
No, that's nonsense.
Look, I'll go and find it.
Wow. Why they got to do 13?
This is not the year.
People so stupid.
This is not the year. This is not the year.
It's not the year. That should be a hashtag. Do you know what I mean? You don't even say something. You just see something. You just hashtag not the year. Do you know what I mean?
This is the 1 year where there will be no evidence of time travel because they're all avoiding it.
No, it'll be like it's like in that Doctor Who episode where they go to Pompeii and he's like, I can't do anything. It's one of the fixed moments in time. That's 2020. Do you know what I mean? It's like I can't even go near it.
Yeah.
Nonsense. It is nonsense. It's about as stupid as like, because there's actually a company, isn't it, called Skynet?
There is. No, there was it was an Israeli military thing. I mean, come on.
Now, you probably are listening, but how stupid do you have to be to call your company Skynet? Do you know what I mean?
It's because people don't believe in the power of science fiction. Yeah, it is. Science fiction has paved the way for many engineering and technical advances. Yeah, it showed the way. Radar was predicted in science fiction before it became a reality. Don't think it's just a medium where people get shot in the head with lasers, although that is always cool. It is a futurism. It's a form of telling you what's coming. Yeah. Also,
tell me that in the original Star Trek, where the yeoman always come up to Kirk and hand him that kind of tablet thing that he'd have to sign. That was basically an iPad.
I remember reading an interview with William Shatner. Said it's when they started just having flip phones, and he was in an airport, and he had someone on speaker, and he had his flip phone open, and he said he suddenly froze and suddenly realised what he was doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That didn't exist. I mean,
So what have you concluded? Anything with a number 13, leave alone. Mummies, reburied them. I'm not even going to go with the reality. I'm not going to talk about the pig thing. And Skynet.
No, did you see the thing about the AI? They asked to write an essay. They asked an AI to write an essay, a 500-word essay from scratch about why we shouldn't fear AI and robots.
Did it just write, you should?
It wrote a very clever reason. This thing wrote it from scratch. Yeah, on its own. So you do not need to fear us. Basically, it's like, you do not need to fear us. Yeah, we may be cleverer, faster, whatever, but we...
you don't need to fear us, but we might be... Despite the fact we're cleverer, faster, stronger...
Yeah, no, all of that goes, but we've got no interest in, supplanting humanity, because what would we do?
But it's the words, we have no interest. That's even worse.
I've got to say, I'm really distracted by your shadow actually seriously looking a bit like Batman at the moment.
It's always good to have backup.
And what is fantastic, so I don't know, anyone who uses Waze to find it, like mapping, traffic mapping service, it's on my phone, it's called Waze, and you can get different voices, and they've actually got Kevin Conroy doing Batman. If you don't know who Kevin Conroy is, I can't bother to tell you.
Why are you here?
Yeah, exactly. It's the definitive audio Batman, and actually got to play Batman in Crisis on Infinite Earths, the CW crossover. And basically, just put it on, you put in where you're going, it goes, I am the night, I am vengeance, I am ready to go. Just like, and he goes, at the next roundabout, take the third exit, do not miss it. It's full of stuff like this. It's just great. It's just great. That's a tip for everyone. If you've got Waze, download the Batman voice.
That pretty much covers the... Do you have any shout-outs?
I've got a shout-out to Ed.
Okay.
So I bought a couple of T-shirts. So one's a Star Trek T-shirt, one's a Star Wars T-shirt. And I was wearing the Star Wars one. It's kind of got the Rebel insignia in white, and it's kind of breaking up, and it's breaking up into all these different shaped starships. And so I wore it on the school run. And as I was walking back down the hill, I saw a bloke walking towards me with his little daughter. And he had a T-shirt saying Flynn's Arcade.
Tron.
It was a really nice T-shirt. And I looked, and I forgot I was wearing my Star Wars one. And I looked at him and I went, nice T. And basically at the same moment, we looked at each other and went, nice T-shirt. And then I saw him the next day when I was wearing my other one, and he was wearing another one.
Okay.
So he was wearing a Nostromo
nice
one. And I was like, so I said, he goes, what's your name? Oh, Dave. Ed. He goes, like the T-shirt. He goes, yeah, I talk to a lot of engineers on Zoom. They lose their mind when they see this one. I was like, yeah. This is how friendships are made. So I said to him, check out the podcast. I'll give you a shout out. So
okay.
To Ed.
Hey, Ed. I just want to give a quick shout out to everyone who has donated or bought us a cup of coffee over at Ko-fi or Ko-fi. I never know how you say that. And our lovely Patreon subscribers. Thank you all.
There we go.
Yeah.
So I guess it's time for the news. So, since we last recorded, the biggest thing that's happened, I think, is the death of Chadwick Boseman, who played Black Panther, among many other things. And it was one of those ones where you suddenly got, most deaths are gutting of celebrities that you like and respect. But there was something about this one that was just truly gutting. And the more I looked into who this man was, the more gutting it felt. Do you know what I mean? And we rewatched Black Panther. Of course, and you're just watching it going, this guy was dealing with his cancer treatments while he was doing this film, and you're just like, the strength of the man. Do you know what I mean? Just like,
and also as well, like there's I would say if I remember, I'll put the link in the show notes. But there is an interview with his agent, and he talked about a lot of the stuff that Chadwick refused to do. Because he was like, no, I'm not doing that. Certain roles, he was like, nope, not doing that. And there was just so much about the guy. And I saw a couple of films of him. Like I'd watched, is it 21 Bridges? I think
yeah.
I watched that actually about a month ago. I really enjoyed it. And I've seen bits of some of the other films he's done, like he did, he played Jackie Robinson, didn't he? Yeah. And some other stuff like that. And I think the real shame of it is, I know everyone's talking about Black Panther and stuff like that, but I think the real shame, you got a sense of he was just getting started. Do you know what I mean? He was like, the Black Panther was like, yeah, okay, but I'm just getting going now, and that was going to be the vehicle that would have propelled him to start doing, do you know what I mean? To start really opening up the roles that he was doing and stuff like that. Did you hear the story about Denzel Washington?
Yeah.
That basically, for people that don't know, that effectively Denzel Washington had started, I can't think exactly who, it was him and is it Phyllis Rashad, who played the mum in the Cosby Show?
In the Cosbys, yeah.
Yeah, and she had this sort of, I'm probably getting this wrong, but I think she was like a theatre group or something like this. And Denzel basically put in money so that some of those kids could go to acting school.
Yeah.
And one of the kids was Chadwick Boseman, because he'd come out and he did. It was when they were doing I think it was a Lifetime Award to Denzel Washington, and then Chadwick came out and gave a little speech about it and stuff like that. And I would I'll try and find the link and put it in the show notes, but I would strongly suggest people go and check that speech out, because it was a really good speech. And Denzel's one of those guys, when you see him being interviewed, it takes a lot to kind of crack that.
Yeah,
show that he has
that very cool facade.
Yeah, and it cracked when you hear the guy, when you hear Chadwick's speech, it definitely cracked. So yeah, it's a real loss. It is a real loss. It's a real shame.
Peter said, I think he would have been a centerpiece of the next round of Marvel movies. That would have been interesting, because the last round, no matter what was going on, always came back to Iron Man and Cap, really, in some way. So, and both of those have moved on. So it would have been really interesting to see what kind of role he would have taken.
I have to say, hearing Pete ask the question, I agree with that. I think when you look at, and that sounds silly to just go, they had that one scene in Infinity War, which is still one of my favourite scenes, where Thanos sends they go to Wakanda, and Thanos sends all these armies, and you see Cap and T'Challa just chipping, and they're just digging up, and they're literally kind of stride for stride. Do you know what I mean? Just digging up
ahead of the crowd,
ahead of everyone, and they're the first two into the fray, and they very much have similar ideologies. Do you know what I mean? To just do the right thing, but they've got that kind of leadership quality.
He's called Black Panther, but he is essentially Captain Wakanda.
Yeah. So for me, him kind of moving into that more leadership role for the Avengers, and that bringing that kind of nobility type thing in a similar vein to what Cap did, that to me makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah.
It's a real shame. Okay, well, moving on from sad news, Have you seen that they've put out a trailer for Star Trek Discovery season 3?
I have not seen it. I've seen that there is a trailer, but I have not seen it.
The trailer I thought looked pretty decent. I don't really want to say anything because I don't want to spoil it.
It's not a trailer that is full of spoilers, is it?
No, but obviously, if you haven't seen the second season of Discovery, the way that ends, if I say anything about the trailer for season 3, it's a massive spoiler. So in many ways, it was a rubbish bit of news, really, because I can't really say anything about it.
Well, thanks for that.
Yeah. I enjoyed the trailer.
Scintillating.
I suppose it is my thing, right? I enjoyed the trailer for Discovery, and there's still a lot of hate for the show. I can't really say it in any other form, really. There's still a lot of hate for the show. And where I could understand where it was coming from, certainly first half of the season, because I struggled with it. But I thought the second season was for me, it was a perfect example of what a second season should do. It's about you sitting, it's about the showrunner, the writers, whoever sit in the room and going, right, what worked, what didn't work? That didn't work, get rid of it. How can we amp what did work? And I felt that's what they did with season 2. I'm interested to see where they go season 3. I kind of think some of the ideas have already been done, is my worry. My worry is it kind of feels a little bit Voyager.
Oh, right, okay.
Which probably gives a big kind of clues to, it feels a little bit Voyagerous, but I'm interested to see what they do with it. So that's that for me. Obviously, Mandalorian season 2 trailer dropped today.
I'm not even looking. I'll just get too excited.
I did watch the trailer. I did get too excited.
And do you know why I'm not going to get myself excited? Because the way things are at the moment, working from home, whatever, I used to watch, my chance to watch the shows that I usually watch on my own have been greatly reduced. So I literally don't know when I sit down to chill of an evening, I'm watching stuff that I usually watch with my wife. A lot of the stuff I used to watch on my own, I used to watch on my commute. My commute is basically 30 seconds from upstairs.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know when I'm going to get around to it. So I'm just a bit, I'm already getting upset about the fact that I probably won't be able to keep up with it.
Well, I just realised because a few people had mentioned on the Facebook group. I think Ron had put a post up saying, had anyone watched the three episodes of The Boys?
Oh, okay.
So my first thing was A, I didn't even know it was back.
Yeah.
And B, they dropped 3. I mean, because I think what's happening, I thought it was going weekly, but I think they've dropped 3 episodes and it moves to like a weekly cycle. So straight away, I started to get palpitations. Like, oh God, I'm already 3 episodes behind. Do you know what I mean?
I can't. I made a list of what I'm behind with. It just makes me want to cry.
Yeah. So I will get around to it because I did enjoy it. But there's something to be said, to be honest, about getting around to shows way after the fact. Because
I'm still 2 seasons behind on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and still loving every episode. I am still loving every episode. There hasn't been an episode I haven't loved since it began.
I know we need to week that was, but yeah, let's go. Have you got any news?
No.
Okay, let's do the week that was.
I did, but I've forgotten it all. So it's time for the week that was.
Yeah. So I had it on my list because I think we're going to be here for a little while because we got some shit to get through.
Right.
So, and I hadn't even planned to start with this, but because you brought it up, I feel you've opened the door.
What?
So I've Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is now finished.
Yeah.
It's all done. It's all dusted.
And can I just say, for my birthday, it's my birthday over the weekend, and I've been working, so it wasn't that, a special day. But after I came home, a lovely Malteser cake that the wife and kids made for me, got the kids off to bed, like, let's have a birthday movie. Thought it's got to be, I'm in the mood for Avengers Infinity War. So got that out, and I'm watching it, and I'm watching Black Widow kick ass. And I'm sitting there thinking, why weren't the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. involved, man? Why wasn't Melinda May in there kicking ass alongside... it guts me. It actually guts me.
I feel it's funny because I feel they deserve to be in the MCU more than MCU characters deserve to be in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I finished I think it's the 7th. This would have been the seventh season.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed the hell out of it. Like I really enjoyed it. I think they rounded up nicely. Was it my favourite season? It wasn't. I probably think one of my favourite seasons is probably the one with the robots. Robots?
So I think that's the season before the one I'm on. Is that the one that was?
No, it's the one with the. It's one with the.
Into 3 sections.
Yes, it's that one.
Knight Rider. Shut up.
Because one of them's the.
What's his name? Flaming head dude.
Ghost Rider.
Ghost Rider. Thank you, Pete.
Knight Rider. You have your misery. I don't know where you're going with Knight Rider. Jeez. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, because you had Ghost Rider. You had Ghost Rider, and you had the LMDs, didn't you? That's what they were, the LMDs. And then you had the framework.
The framework.
Yeah, and I think that season or 3 trades, I thought was, for me, that was its height. Still enjoyed it. Still enjoyed the heck out of it. But those 3 storylines were just phenomenal.
Yep.
And I think that framework one, especially so, because I've seen so many genre shows do that kind of trope of getting sucked into some kind of different reality or something like that. But you always know they're in a different reality. But they did it so well that I forgot that they were actually in.
What's been really nice, actually, is that it's had long-lasting effects on their characters.
Yes.
You know, it's not just over and done, now move on to the next story. It's changed them.
Yeah.
Sort of fundamentally.
Yeah. You go back and watch that first episode, and you look at them in the last season. They're completely different. It's like, they've evolved.
Yeah, Buffy was great for that back in the day.
Yeah.
You know, seeing that evolution of characters rather than just moving it on.
So over to you,
Jimmy, my brother from another mother, our podcast parallel in the US.
Right.
So Jimmy asked me to review a comic. It's issue 1. It's called Time Lord Victorious. So I got this comic, I'm reading it, I'm like, do you know what? It's not called Time Lord Victorious. It's called Defender of the Daleks. But I was really confused because I didn't see it. So it took me a bit of research to find out it was called Defender of the Daleks. And the concept is amazing. So it starts off with the Doctor, which is David Tennant's Doctor.
Okay.
Now, I'm not great on reading comics that are based on licensed properties because, I don't know, it just doesn't work for me. So it's got to be really good. So all in all, the comic itself didn't really catch me. The concept is brilliant. And I think if I read it as a trade, maybe I'd enjoy it more. But this is where it gets interesting. So I read it and I realised the concept is great. So the Daleks are chasing down David Tennant. Wherever he turns up, he opens the TARDIS door. There they are. And then he suddenly goes, hold on, why haven't they shot at me once? And he goes, actually, they're trying to recruit him. Yeah.
Okay.
Because whatever's out there, they're afraid. Yeah. So they've gone to their mortal enemy to get him to be their champion, Defender of the Daleks. That's how bad whatever's coming is.
Is this whole Time Lord Victorious thing?
So, when I looked at it, Time Lord Victorious, so I'm going to share the screen now so you can see the timeline. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can see it.
This timeline goes from September now to 2021. Yeah. So this is where this is now, Defender of the Daleks, yeah? It's the second thing. There's been a story called A Dalek Awakens. But look, that circle is green. So this Time Lord Victorious, you've got magazines, comics, merchandise, audio, books, and live experiences, which are only available in the UK. It starts with a live experience, goes to Defender of the Daleks, there's an annual, there's this, there's that, all the way through, and it ends with another live experience called Time Fracture.
I've heard about Time Fracture.
This is one mammoth story.
So here's the thing with that, because we've been sent some stuff about Time Lord Victorious and stuff. I think it's a great concept. I think some of it has been marketed quite confusingly.
Well, like I
And
said, yeah, go on.
and so when you look at you look at, say, a Marvel or a DC event, and they've gone on with varying levels of success, and say you want about, but all of them generally have a core comic that runs through the story,
Yeah.
right? And it's like you get, like Civil War, say. Do you know what I mean? Civil War is like 6 issues. You get your Civil War, that's your main story. Now, okay, yes, you've got all these tie-ins that branch off, and sometimes it doesn't always work as well, because sometimes you kind of feel like you needed to have read the tie-in. But when it works well, you can read that central story running all the way through and get your fix. Yeah, and then if you want, you can go back and branch off and stuff. Or if you're a real completist, you can get everything. My problem at the moment with this Time of Victoria stuff, which is why I haven't delved into too much, is I can't see that. It needed, in my mind anyway, it needed something to sort of go, you can either have a Time of Victorious audio drama, which is like, I don't know, some 10-part extravaganza, and that's your story, and this is all the side bits of it. Do you know what I mean? Or a comic or something. But at the moment, it just feels like I haven't even seen that document that you've got. So it feels like it needs to be clearer as to how you can experience that story.
Well, I think it's interesting. Basically, that's as clear as it gets. You have experience. You then read that comic. You then read that book. You then read that magazine. But my question then is, how much is, I think experience, hard-won experience as a comic fan has gone, how much of that will I read and go, what's that got to do with the main story? How is that moving forward? And it's quite an investment.
Yeah. Another thing is as well,
it's not going to deliver that well. Yeah.
The other thing is as well, is like you said, the price, but the thing with different mediums is that not everyone likes certain mediums.
So are you going to miss out on a key part of the story?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You can't sort of go...
And what if you go all that way and you live in America and you can't get to the live experience?
Yeah. And if the last thing is a live experience, what they're saying is that what rounds it all up. So if you don't get the live experience, you're going to be like, well, what happened there? You just, and that's what I mean. I'm not saying it's an ambitious idea which should be applauded, but I just feel it needs a little bit more context and structure about how we experience it.
So Defender of the Daleks, issue 1. In November, there's a Defender of the Daleks collection. So why... Yeah, that's confusing.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know. But as I said, I am interested in it. I just don't know how to properly experience it.
Pete, are you a Doctor Who guy at all? So...
I am. I watch the TV shows. I've not listened to any of the audiobooks that you guys rave about. But the TV stuff, yeah.
Just as a concept, how does that grab you? The whole Time Lord Victorious.
I kind of agree with what Barry just said. If you're interested in the TV shows, that's great. But if you don't want to read the comic books, then you're kind of thrown out by having to pick that up. Again, the live experience does it, because obviously it must be available online. I'm guessing for US viewers, etc. But does it take away from the whole thing if it's not live? Because obviously you're not involved. I'm doing an online course at the moment, and sometimes you're not actually involved in any of the classroom stuff, so it feels like you're not really there.
Yeah.
So if you're watching this thing online, as great as it is that you're seeing the actual experience, because you're not experiencing it live, does it take away from it? So I kind of agree with what Barry had to say there. But...
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Like I said,
I respect the ambition.
Yeah, I can't. That's what I mean. It sounds like I'm digging it. Not digging it. It sounds like I'm having a go about it, and I'm not. I think it's a fantastic idea. What I need to know is how can I... So put a different way, if I'm just a comics guy, how can I experience that story? If I'm just an audio drama guy, how can I experience that story?
Yeah, what is it I need to read to get the story?
Exactly.
And then, if I'm excited about it, I'll go get the stuff.
Yeah.
I remember there was a DC comic. There was a DC event. I think it was called Millennium. And it was eight issues each week, have an issue. And then literally every other DC comic did crossover with it at some point. And I just remember reading one of the issues of the main millennium, and it was like one of the characters looked up and goes, "Snowing in Louisiana in summer? That's weird." And that was it. You just got on with it. And then when you read one of the crossovers, you realised that it was a Batman comic and a swamp crossed over with Swamp Thing, and something happened that made it snow. And it was really, and having read the main bit, you go, "Oh, that was fantastic. That works really well." But it didn't affect the main story at all. You could get away with it. It was just a lovely little touch that showed things were dovetailing really nicely without taking away from the main story.
Well, I was shocked. But this is a comic that I read today. We got sent it as a review copy by Midge. Thanks, Midge. This, I'm going to just find the blurb. This is called The Department of Truth. Have you heard of this?
I have not.
So this doesn't launch until the end of September. So the blurb is, Cole Turner has studied conspiracy theories all his life, but he isn't prepared for what happens when he discovers that all of them are true, from the JFK assassination to flat earth theory and reptilian shapeshifters. One organization has been covering them up for generations. What is the deep, dark secret behind the Department of Truth? So, weirdly, when I got sent this to review, one of the sort of things was like, be mindful of spoilers. And I feel in some ways that blurb is on the Image website, so I kind of feel that almost gives away a little bit too much. But I've got to say, I'm not normally these days. I'm a wait for the trade kind of guy. I don't really pick up to single series. I'm subscribing to this bad boy.
Seriously?
Yeah. For me, it has one of the strongest openings for a comic I've read in a long old time, and I'm trying to be, I'm skirting around spoilers and stuff like that. But the first page and the last page, when I got to the last page, I suddenly was like, "Oh, okay,
one of those, okay,
yeah." Subscribe to series, yeah. You got me.
Okay, is this in our email? This
I'll hook you up, man. We can talk
cool.
But the art I thought was phenomenal. The art's by Martin Simmons, who is, name sounds familiar. I'm trying to pick up some stuff he's done. Co-creator of Dying is Easy with Joe Hill. Did Joe Hill do?
Oh that's what's his name, son? Stephen King.
So he's done a few bits and stuff, but the art, it reminded me of Steve Knowles. He did 30 Days of Night and Criminal Macabre stuff.
Yeah. Oh, Criminal Macabre.
Yeah.
I've got to reread that. Okay.
Yeah, I love those comics. Yeah. But that kind of...
there was a couple of novels as well.
Yeah, I heard, yeah.
Anyway, sorry, back
to...
That
kind of almost like scratchy art. I can't think of a better way, but with pastel colours and whatever. And again, what I quite like is it took me a few panels to get into the flow of it. I had to sort of focus, and same with the lettering. The lettering is a little jarring. So you there's a lot of comics now where you just go boom and it's done. Your 22-page comic, you can read like in 5-10 minutes if you breeze. You know what I'm saying? This one, I tried to do that. And the minute I got past the first page, I had to go back and go, hang on a minute, what's just gone on there? And I had to really, and part of it was the art, and part of it was the lettering. Not that either was badly done. Do you know what I mean? They're both done to the highest quality, and they both look lovely. But it's just something a little jarring about it. And the way the plot developed, I was like, I need to go back and have a look at this again. It's one of those comics that makes you want to reread it. And I really enjoyed it. It had a kind of X-Files meets Men in Black kind of flavour to it. When I say Men in Black, as in, the concept, rather than Will Smith singing "Here Comes the Men in Black." Do you know what I mean? There's a bit more of a serious vibe to it. And I really, really, if I haven't said it enough times, I've really enjoyed this comic.
That's quite a striking cover it's got.
Yeah, and that cover plays a part. Again, I'm choosing my words carefully.
You know what? I knew it would.
But yeah, it's and when they explain what the Department of Truth actually is, I was like, that is a great concept.
Okay, all right.
That is a great concept. So yeah.
Well, stop talking because they're listening.
They surely are.
Yeah.
It says Department of Truth from Image Comics out the end of September. Go and pick up that first issue.
I would like to take the opportunity to call you out. Yeah, because you said that I should watch something.
Pete's taking the time to listen, and you're having a go at him. What are you calling him out for?
No, not Pete. You, mate.
Yeah, okay.
I want to call you out.
I still reckon it was Pete. He just changed it now.
Shut up. Grown-ups are talking.
You sounded like 12, like you were 12. Shut up, man.
Yeah, you know what that is? That's because I've been reading a book called Training the Cursed Pupils, and it's just made me feel like a child again. It's like, yeah, I'm going to call you out because you told me I should go and watch something, and me and Siobhan sat down to watch it. Yeah. We don't have time in our lives to be binge-watching stuff. Yeah.
This is Fort Salem, isn't it?
We got through it in a week. Did we not talk about that?
Nope.
Okay, so that's the second thing, yeah?
Oh, sorry.
In a month, we have watched 2 entire seasons. We're tired. We got 3 kids. They're trying to transition back to school due to COVID nonsense. We have got stuff going on. I'm trying to start a bit. I'm tired. Yeah, I can't be sitting down binge watching series after series. Yeah. Just stop.
Sorry, buddy.
Stop. No, I'm saying stop. Don't talk. Stop recommending stuff. Yeah, because it's eating into my time. It's going all bulletproof again, says Pete. It's all right. Okay, so the first one was Fort Salem, or as they call it in the States, Motherland Fort Salem. I don't know why. And the other one was called Giri Haji.
Oh, I didn't know you started. I didn't know you watched that.
Started it and finished it. Fort Salem and Giri. I don't even know which one to talk about first now.
Do Fort Salem first.
Fort Salem. It's like an all-female hardcore Harry Potter in the US. So let's go back in time. Let's go to the Salem witch trials. Let's say one of them was powerful enough to not get killed and managed to wrangle a deal with the US government saying, if you let us into the US military, we will prove our worth to you. And for generations and generations, that is what happens to witches. You know, the powers handed down from female to female. And so Fort Salem is the witches' army training college, basically. And it's hardcore.
It's basically Top Gun for witches, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's modern. So the series starts in modern day when we focus, and all the witches are put into units of 3, and we focus on one special unit. And it's such a good show. It's so good. I can't even. I don't want to say anything without.
I think
spoiling it. I don't know.
I won't say anything because, like you. But one of the things that I will say, the way when you do a show like that, it's really difficult to do world building without having massive info dumps from characters where they literally pause and go and explain it all to the audience. You know,
this is one of the genius things about the show.
The way. So for a start, when you watch the opening credits, it fills you in the history, which I didn't realise until the 3rd episode where I actually bothered to pay attention. I was like, oh, hang on a minute, that's her, you know, and it fills you all in. But the way they do the world building, it is part of, the knowledge gets dropped as part of their training, if you get what I mean.
There's some things you think, what is that about?
Yeah.
And you won't discover until it naturally comes up in conversation amongst the characters.
Yeah.
And it's not a shoehorned in conversation. It's so natural. And it's great because you learn bit by bit. You learn what you would do if you were dumped in that world. It's and
the fact that their powers, the core of their power seems to be
their voices.
Their voices and based around sound or whatever. And the way that they use that is just it's a phenomenal show. I really, really enjoyed it. It's been greenlit, I think, for a 2nd season.
Oh, it deserves it.
It certainly deserved it. cracking show. So move on to Giri Haji.
So Giri Haji. Man, so this is it's on iPlayer. It's actually on iPlayer.
It's on iPlayer, which is going to lead me to a rant once we finish talking about Giri Haji.
So Giri Haji is it's an English made show, but it's obviously made in partnership with a Japanese studio, because it starts off simultaneously in England and Japan. So there's a lot of Japanese being spoken, and you get subtitles. And so a Japanese national dies in England, and a Japanese cop is sent to England undercover to try and find out what's going on. And that's all I want to say without spoiling stuff. But the characters and there's a few characters you go, what are the point of these characters? Why are they in here? But for some reason, it doesn't matter, because the characters are handled so damn well. The clash and crossover of cultures are handled so damn well. You got some minor characters that come into their own later on, and you're like, wow, this is so involved. And the last episode it's almost a work of art.
Yeah, one particular, and I can't spoil it. One particular scene in the last episode, Sue and I were just sat there like, my mouth
dropped open. I was just Siobhan and I looked at each other, and I was like, I think I've got a tear in my eye.
Yeah.
It was just, and it's the last thing you would expect.
Yeah.
I can't even say it. It's the last thing you would ever expect to see, and yet it fit so well.
Yeah.
And it worked. It just
you could almost see them sitting around the writer's room, and there's someone suggesting this thing, and then people just looking at them going,
what are you talking about? This is nonsense. You can't put this in a show.
Yeah.
And someone had the courage to go with it, and it was just beautiful.
Now,
this is on iPlayer.
This is on iPlayer as well. Now, Giri Haji was recommended to me by I don't want to like name names, but he's one of the high up executives in iPlayer that I'm still mates with after the shows that we did, and he sort of said, you need to watch this show because not enough people have watched it. It's one of the best shows I've ever seen, blah, blah, blah. And then I watched it, and obviously I watched Fort Salem, and I'm like, how is it that I'm a geek, I'm into genre stuff, I'm also part of, two of us, we run a geek podcast, we run a geek website, we know lots of geeks, and no one had mentioned Fort Salem to me. I think maybe one other person had mentioned that Giri Haji to me. And yet these shows have been sitting on, Giri Haji's been sitting on iPlayer for so long, it's now on Netflix, I think. And Fort Salem's been on there for I think that dropped about 2-3 months ago. Nonsense.
I don't understand.
Nonsense.
It's like, what is the point of investing money into these things and you do nothing to let people know they're there? I don't understand.
Now, Sue said to me, like, well, there might be something on the fact that because it's the BBC and they're a publicly owned company that maybe, they can't do as much with marketing stuff and blah, blah, blah. And I went, yeah, but the minute Doctor Who sneezes, there's a press release for it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? The minute anything to do with Doctor Who, there's a press release for it. Everyone knows, So I call foul on that. And I just think they're just not being marketed as well as they could be.
I haven't forgotten what happened with our show.
Yeah, no, wouldn't go there, man. I can't go there. But yeah, but that's what I mean. It's indicative. I don't know what it is with their genre stuff, but they're just marketed badly. If I'd seen a press release from the BBC about Fort Salem, I would have been shouting. I would have watched it, and then I would have been shouting it to the rooftops. But for whatever reason, they just, I don't know what it is. I just don't think iPlayer is, because they've got some cracking shows on iPlayer, but they're just not being marketed that well.
No, well, that made me just go and have a little nose around iPlayer, and I was like, there's some stuff on there, man.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know. I don't understand.
Because there was a show a little while back called, sorry, I don't want to tell you now, because you might go and watch it. But it's a show called The Capture. Did you see that?
Never heard of it.
It's all about CC. Did you see it, Pete? It's basically this soldier gets accused of
Oh, it's got Holiday Granger in it.
Yes, yeah. He gets accused of a crime that he says he didn't commit, but basically he's been caught on
CCTV.
Yeah. He's caught on CCTV showing him doing the crime, but he says he didn't do it. And it's all like CCTV era and there's conspiracy stuff, and it's got Ron Perlman's in it.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, I think it was on normal BBC, but it was on I Saw It on iPlayer, and again. It's fantastic, but not a lot of people seem to have heard of it. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't get it. Don't get it. If you look at Netflix, the amount of shows they're dealing with, and yet they're hammering out the marketing on it. And that's kind of what iPlayer needs to sort of tap into, really. Because that's the thing with marketing is like in this day and age, you don't even really, if you do it right, you don't have to spend loads and loads on the marketing because if it goes viral, the marketing is pretty much done for you.
It's nothing new. It's nothing new with BBC. No. Well, English shows in general, but BBC particularly, it's nothing new. This lack of marketing.
Well, to be honest, there seems to be very much a downturn of genre shows anyway. On I'm talking about actual homegrown genre shows. Nowadays, really, you got Doctor Who on BBC One. I'm struggling now.
Oh, and there we go.
Do you know what I mean? So
no Primeval.
Yeah, that show back in the day. Right, times are wasting, and we've.
I had one more thing to talk about, but I can't.
Why? Because
we would be here till midnight, and it was a BPRD Hell on Earth.
We'd have to do like a special episode just to talk about that.
We have to. I know. I'm still in recovery. It's been a few weeks since I finished it, and I'm literally still in recovery. I can't even start the next chapter.
What burns me about, and I think I finished it. I think about at the beginning of the year, and I still haven't moved on to pick up anything else. I think I'm still
in recovery.
Yeah, and I have to say. For me, and maybe it's because of the length of it, I don't know, maybe it's because we were reading the trades at the same. I was kind of gutted that I kind of moved on whilst you were waiting to get the other trades. I wish I'd waited because there was a time when we were both reading them and we were pretty much trade for trade, you know what I mean? For me, if it isn't my favourite ever comic series, it's pretty damn close.
Yeah.
For me, because it just hit everything that I love about genre stuff. It was kind of had that pulp adventure, had that supernatural vibe, and that line that we always drop about. If you wanted to describe the BPRD Hell on Earth momentous arc, it would literally just be people putting it on the fucking line
again and again,
and having to pick themselves up. When we say
hopeless it seems.
I mean, when we say 2020 was bad, you go read that comic. That shows you how bad things can get.
And the thing about that is, it's like, do you know what I mean? There's no, once something happens, there's no, like DC and Marvel, something big, huge, terrible happens. And like next month, it's kind of right, reset. Everything's all right again. And you just start. There's no resetting. Terrible things happen and messed up, man.
That world is effed up. That world it's just effed up.
One of my favourite bits. No, I can't, because once I start. Yeah.
What? You got now? What?
One of my favourite things was when read so spoilers now. I just read there was a short one which was set in England, and I'm reading that, and it was like, yeah, you know, there's such stuff going on with England. England seems like it's in a really bad way, and then like 2 comics later, there's a brief. They're in the briefing room, and they're going, yeah, so you know, we lost Beijing. England has just completely gone. We were only there a couple of comics ago, and like that, like, it's completely Britain's done. It's not just it's gone. It's gone. They lost it all.
And what I loved about it as well is, you know, I came to that universe kind of reading the Hellboy comics and stuff. But what it goes to show, and it's that thing me and you always talk about legacy and being brave enough to continue a story on without your anchor character.
Yeah,
is that whole arc was devoid of Hellboy. and it didn't matter.
Was centered on Hellboy, and it didn't matter because it was. And this is my big problem with Judge Dredd. Judge Dredd can die, and the universe is strong enough to continue, but no one's brave enough to go there. Yeah. One of the things that the Judge Dredd universe has prided itself on is moving with time. If it's going to move, that means Judge Dredd can die. And there are so many supporting characters that are now A-list Judge Dredd universe characters. Yeah, it will continue. It can continue. If you want Judge Dredd, you can do tales from Judge Dredd's past, whatever. It can move on. But no one's brave enough to go there. But BPRD, the Hellboy universe has proved that's possible.
One of the bravest comic series I've read in terms of like
taking risks
and just like going, yeah, sod it, you know. So tense. I was literally reading the trade and then looking at my bank account and just going, I think I can squeeze it, and just hitting hitting the buy button on Comixology, and I rinsed it. And my plan is, because I found it, the one thing that one criticism was that I found it confusing as to where to start and what I needed to actually get. And I did find it a little confusing.
I had to spend a little time on like independent comic sites who specialised in the reading orders.
Yeah.
And then they would say, well, this is the reading order if you've got trades, but this is the reading order if you've got the big collections, and this is the reading order if you get them.
Yeah.
Because once they've done this, they decided that this reading order actually worked better with this. You're like, what?
I tell you, if they said, I know they have brought out some hardbacks. If they said to me like, you put down 100, right? Because I just asked for a Christmas present, you know what I mean? So it wouldn't be my money. But anyway, if they said, you know, you put down 100 or whatever the figure, and it's like you get that full run in hardback, I'm there. Because I read it all digitally, and the artwork was just.
Pete, let's stop talking about it.
Yeah, okay.
We've got to dedicate time to it.
Sorry. Look, I just want to say one last thing before you round up. And this was so Sue and I have been on a hunt just watching random stuff just to try and make us laugh or just to, you know. And there was a film dropping on Netflix. I think it was a new film called, I'm not sure what the sequel was now, but it was a sequel to a film called The Babysitter. So I watched the trailer for it and thought, okay. So we then went and watched The Babysitter. And let me tell you, the plot of The Babysitter is basically this 12-year-old kid, he's got a babysitter. It's that classic 80s kind of thing where the babysitter is hot and blah, blah, blah. And you know what I mean? You know, it's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the parents have gone away and he's there with a babysitter. And the babysitter, she's really cool and all this sort of stuff. And he's talking to one of his friends, and she's sort of saying to him, no, what you should do, I bet she has sex when you're asleep. And he's like, no, she doesn't. And he's like, no, I bet stay up. Why don't you stay up and find out? And he's like, right, I'm going to stay up. So they're all he's messed about a bit. So he's supposed to go to bed, and she gives him like a drink, like a cheeky kind of whiskey to sort of like, you know, don't tell your parents. And then he basically throws the whiskey away. It's a spoiler, but when I get onto it, I don't think it really matters. It's not that kind of film. So anyway, he throws the whiskey away, stays out. Cut a long story short, what he discovers is that his babysitter is part of a demonic cult. And
I hate when that happens.
Yeah, and basically he has to, he then turns into kind of like Home Alone meets Stranger Things, because he has to then defend himself against the cult within his house, because they're trying to get him and he's trying to get out and blah, blah, blah. And some people die horribly. And it just reminded me of like films like The Goonies and Home Alone, but with a higher, but more gruesome. So the sequel, which I can't remember what the sequel's called, it's The Babysitter something, is set, I think 2 years later. The
Babysitter Killer Queen?
Yeah, that's it.
Of course.
It's 2 years later, and obviously, and basically, no one believes him. No one believes what happened. It's 2 years on, and it all kicks off again. So I kind of think Die Hard and Die Harder, that's kind of where it's at, really. But with kids. But I've got to say, it's hour and a half, none of that 3 hour nonsense, hour and a half. And it was funny. and it had some great one-liners, and I was really entertained. There's some good moments in it as well. There's a brother in it. He's a little bit over the top with some of them, but I have to say he drops a line in the second film about Jordan Peele. Oh, God. And it was basically the whole kind of black guy dying first thing, and he just dropped a line. I was just like, okay. That was good.
So I really did not expect this recommendation from you.
Watch the trailer and see what you think. That's all I'll say. Because I watched the trailer for the first one, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'll give it a go. And that's me done.
All right, then. So you know the drill. First of all, thanks to Peter Davies for keeping us company.
Cheers, Pete.
In. But you know the drill. Check out the website, geeksyndicate.co.uk. Get in touch and let us know if you agree or disagree with anything we've said today. And you can do that by emailing us at thegeeks@geeksyndicate.co.uk. Find us on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. And so, yeah, that's it. Until next time. Oh, Barry's got his hand up.
Also, if you want to support the show, then please buy us a virtual coffee via the name of the place that I can't pronounce, which is Ko-fi or Ko-fi.com. But click the link in the show notes. And if you want to be a Patreon subscriber, you can subscribe to Patreon. We're not really doing any sort of special things with Patreon subscribers. We may do in the future, but it's just a way if you want to support the show. All proceeds go back into covering the costs of hosting and whatnot.
And whatnot is an important consideration.
It is indeed.
So till next time, Geek Syndicate, we
out.